the biggest thing right now, and I think this is going to be after the CP3 stuff, obviously DA is going to be prevalent in terms of, whether the Suns keep him, if they try to trade him, if they try to move him, is Frank Vogel's ability to move his big pieces. We've seen it with Hibbert. We've seen it with AD. He likes to have those rim protectors. DA did not have a good year last year, point blank. He had good moments, but he did not have a good year. And when you are a center and you are outside of the top 40 in block shots for the entire season, and multiple guys on your own team that don't even play the center position were ahead of you on that list, that ain't good. And so I'm very curious to see if DA stays on this roster, what Frank Vogel is going to be able to pull out of him. Because I will say this, for the amount of money that Deandre Ayton is, and you do have to look at the money versus the production. It's just, that's the nature of the business. You're not getting what you need out of one of your quote unquote star players. And I'm really, really anxious to see if Frank Vogel is going to be able to do anything with DA in order to get him to a level where he's consistent and really representative of what he did in that 2021 playoff series for the most part, consistently.
When you say, what Vogel can get out of him, no, it's what DA is willing to give up. And it comes a point in time where, he's a professional.
Yeah.
And so the coach shouldn't have to, one thing, get you in shape. These are things a coach doesn't have to do. Okay, you should do it. You should always show up in shape. That's your job. I played 18 years. I never showed up out of shape. I was never out of shape one time in my basketball career. Mm-hmm. Okay? From high school all the way 18 years in the NBA. I was always at my weight. I was always in shape. I ran every day. I showed up. I ate right. I did everything I was supposed to do. A coach shouldn't have to do that for you. Secondly, a coach shouldn't have to tell you to be, if it's practice at 10, you're there at least 45 minutes to an hour before. They shouldn't have to tell you that. You should know that that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not saying that's not what Deandre has not done. I'm saying I'm just going through a line of things that a coach should not have to worry about. Okay. And then thirdly, a coach should never have to worry about you not being in tune with the playbook and you not paying attention. Like, all those things are there. And then third, a coach should not have to tell you to play hard. So with all those things I just said, and if you're talented, right? And like, I wasn't athletic, but I did all those things. That's why I scored 19,000 points. That's why I was very productive in my career, because I did all those things. If I didn't do those things, I would have probably been out of the league. So if Deandre does all those things and then show up and play lights out hard, he will be an all-star.
Yeah.
So it's really on him. It's not on Frank Vogel. Like, Frank will put him in the places to be productive. But it's up to him. And I would say that about any player. Like, the coach is only there to really build off of what the package that you're bringing.
Sure.
And he should never tell you to do the things I mentioned. You should already have that incorporated into your mindset.
Okay, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ask you this just because, not because I'm trying to defend DA by any stretch of the imagination, because I feel like you're right. About 99% of this is on him. I will say this, though. Do you think that sometimes a player can be in a situation and because of maybe the environment or the everybody adored the culture that Monty provided, but even James Jones said that they needed a new voice, and I wonder if that new voice and Monty kind of wearing maybe DA down to a certain degree, DA just was not motivated to play hard for that guy. Now, I know as a professional, you should always play hard, right? But there is a human element, right? Like there's things that, I kind of mentioned this earlier, like sometimes you're just in a situation and you're in an environment where you just do not feel appreciated. You don't feel valued. You feel like maybe you're a target of criticism constantly. And I wonder if there's any part of that played into how DA performed or did not perform. Do you think there's any merit to that at all?
Of course. I mean, look, I played for Cotton Fitzsimmons. Dude just screamed at me nonstop. But I was used to it because most of my coaches in my life were that kind of guy. Yeah. And so I just thought that was a part of coaching. So, I mean, but I needed it. I played my best when I was irritated. I played my best when I was challenged. And coaches pretty much knew that about me. Coach's job is to figure you out and how to approach you. I think Frank Vogel knows how to do that. He wouldn't be at this level if he didn't. And Monty had a certain way of really, approaching Deandre to get the best out of him. Now, Deandre would have to go back and look at film and look at periods when he did play well. Was Monty really focus on him and riding him and really maybe going overboard in film sessions, calling him out? And if that was the case, then look back at the quality of your play when he was doing that.
Yeah.
Some players need it. Some players don't need to be self-motivated. But, big men in general tend to have to be that guy. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe any coach's voice gets old. Coaches are hired to be fired, man. I say that, man. Everybody can't be Greg Popovich. They can't be Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not going to happen. You hired that first day, you on borrowed time as a coach. And it doesn't matter what you've done. Monty got fired, and he went to the finals a couple years ago. Rick Carlisle got fired from Detroit, went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Lionel Hollins got, Coach of the Year or something like that? Or he went to the finals, he went to the conference finals, got fired. In Memphis, George Karl, I think got Coach of the Year, got fired. It does not matter.
Yeah.
Okay? It does not matter. It just, you just know that's going to happen. And what you do is you just coach the way that you feel like you have to coach. And Monty coached the way he felt like he had to coach, and his voice went out. And now Vogel gets 5 years of opportunity to see what he can do with Deandre. And I'm sure his ego is saying, I can make it work with him. Yeah. And so if that's the case, then Deandre has to know that he's willing to do it, and that now he's got to go out there and get it done.
I'm going to push back on a couple comments in the chat right now. Okay, so number one, PDog006. He says, excuses are monuments of nothingness, Saul. A lot of us have to work with terrible bosses, DAs and special. Life is hard. Deal with it or move on. And then Chris Lopez says, you can't be paid millions of dollars and not feel valued and quote, not and feel, quote, not valued. I'm going to disagree with that completely. I don't care how much money you're getting paid. If you don't feel valued within your organization, let's just talk about you guys, right? If you don't feel valued in your workspace, guess what you're probably doing? You're probably trying to find another workplace to go to. And that's the human element of this, right? If I did not like it here, I wouldn't be sitting here for the next year just, I'm getting paid this money and this is just what I have to do. And I'm just going about my daily life because they're paying me money. I just got to suck it up. No, that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. No, people will look for other opportunities if they don't feel valued in the space that they're in. And I don't care how much money you're getting paid. I don't care if you're getting paid, $25,000 a year to $25 million a year. If you don't feel valued, you don't feel valued. And so, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening with DA. I think there's a lot of different things that are going on with DA that there's a lot to unpeel with him for whatever reason. And I don't know what's going on with him. And I'm not behind those closed doors. And I don't know what is really happening on a day-to-day basis. But to sit there and say that because he's getting paid $30 million, he's just got to suck it up and do it. There's a human element to this that also has to be acknowledged. You can't just dismiss it because he's getting paid $30 million. You don't get to treat people like shit no matter how much you're paying them. Period.
Some of the most unhappiest people
Are the richest
in the world are ones with all the money.
Yeah.
When people don't have the amount of money that other people have, they tend to think that if they had it, that life would be great. No, it wouldn't. Just go read books on lottery winners in this country. Lottery winners in this country, a lot of them wish they didn't win the lottery because they come upon money so fast and then they had to deal with all the stuff around it. You're still human, man. You still can reach depression no matter where you stand in society, no financially or whatever. You're going to deal with it. So when people always want to bring up money, oh, he should be happy because he's making this. That has nothing to do with it, man. Trust me. Depression will hit you at whatever level you are. And you can be having the best things going for you and it can hit you. So no, you have to treat each person equally and try to figure them out past where you think they should be feeling, because that's the biggest mistake, that people think somebody should be feeling a certain way and they don't give them the attention that they deserve. And then you look up and they've done something to harm themselves and then you're feeling guilty. No, everybody needs attention. And Deandre obviously has had his issues and he's had his struggles. You will see him doing any course of the game. And, you know, I was a leader on teams, so I always remind guys we had to be cognizant of it. Whereas, like, Deandre could hear, like, during a timeout, he's walking to the bench, he's got 3 or 4 guys coming over to him off the team, telling him stuff. It gets to the point where it can get overbearing. And so you have to be really careful in how you handle it. And I think the great thing I saw last year when Kevin Durant came on board, I saw Kevin Durant, and maybe he and Chris Paul had a conversation and he gave it over to KD and let KD handle it with DA. But I saw KD a lot of the times conversing with Deandre during the course of a game. And it's always good to have a new voice, a guy that maybe you looked up to, you know, as a player in college. And, you know, Kevin Durant's on this team and coaching you up and giving you that positivity. He needed that. And he still needs it. You know, everybody's not the same. Everybody's not hardcore like Saul. You know, I can get on Saul all day long, even though he cursed me out a week ago on the golf course.
Oh, my God. Let it go. We brought that up last week. But listen, I get it. Like, I'm not saying that Phoenix is the best place for DA by any stretch of the imagination. I acknowledge that maybe a change of scenery might do him some good. But I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, it's not just as easy as he's getting paid this, so he needs to be able to deal with this. And I'm sorry you had to deal with that last job you had, P-Dog 66, for 5 years before you finally said, fuck it, I'm out. but that's not all of us, and some of us move on quicker than that. So I just want to say that out loud.